2011, the board approved Resolution 2011-04 to cease funding of 501c organizations. However, it was not the intent of the board to cease funding to Conyers Rockdale Economic Development. So therefore, this resolution to cease funding of 501c3 organization with exceptions of the Conyers Rockdale Economic Development Council.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I move to approve this resolution as presented.
I second the motion. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Let me bring a point of clarity. I think it's only fitting that since I proposed this resolution that I bring this point of clarity. I've heard the discussion concerning the money going to Viewpoint, formerly known as GRN, and you've heard petitions on the floor this morning. I've also heard from the representative that we have Rockdale County residents who choose to go to the facility down on Kirkland Road to receive their services. They could very well come to Rockdale County if need be. There is an issue about the $5,400, and that's something that we can certainly take a look at and address, but I wasn't interested in playing tit for tat, one agency against the other agency. The thing, when I presented this resolution earlier, when we brought this this matter into question, my concern was that if the county was going to be in a position to award 50C agencies funding, if we're not going to give everybody fair and equal treatment in the way we look at it, then we need not give anybody any money, because it's not the business of the Board of Commissioners, beyond the Sheriff's Department, making sure we have clean, safe running water and taking care of those main entities, or the main day-to-day operations for our county. It's not our responsibility to fund everybody who decides to start up or open up a 501c3. Back when this whole resolution came about, we had several agencies that came forward who had the proper documentation, the proper credentials, and were given an opportunity to sit at the table. But they were grilled and they were scrutinized. And it appeared to be clearly unfair. And very few people spoke out. Although it didn't impact them and their agency, they didn't speak out about the unfair practice that they saw taking place and going down in this gallery. So my understanding is always, if you're not going to give to everybody equally, then nobody gets anything. On top of that, the county is not in the position to just hand and award out money. Now, as it relates to the Conyers Rockdale Economic Development, we have to support economic development because that's a part of bringing growth and job opportunity and making this community a progressive community in the days ahead. So that's something that we need to be a part of. But in terms of everyone who decides to open up a 501c3 and start a nonprofit that wants to knock on our door for funding, I'm not going to support it unless we're going to play fairly, unless we're going to play by the rules. Otherwise, if we're not going to play by the rules, game over.
Now, Commissioner Nesbitt, I'm confused because I made a proposal that we deduct the funding of $5,400.
Well, don't be confused, Commissioner. I don't want you confused. I want to make sure that
okay.
what I'm basically talking about, this resolution came about last year when there was a long debate concerning seek to fulfill. Mm-hmm. You do remember that?
I do.
Okay, I just want to make sure you're not confused. During that debate, we should have addressed the issue and made fair play and gave that agency an opportunity to come to this board and have fair and equal opportunity to receive funding just like everybody else. But instead, over a 4-week period, we grilled them and put them through hell, so to speak.
They weren't singled out. In fact, in previous years, there were several agencies that were scrutinized and didn't receive funding. Among them, Partnership for Community Action. There was a marriage enrichment program that was not funded. There were several. So this is not the first time that we've scrutinized an agency. But nonetheless, your point today was that you don't want it to be uneven how funding is. So I made a suggestion you take the $5,460 out of the budget so that we're not funding a Newton County agency when we have one that does the exact same thing in our own community and is established and serves people in this community. So instead, what you and the chairman are doing is you're giving $5,400 to a Newton County operation that, yes, does serve maybe 20 people. I've never been to that facility. I doubt the two of you have ever been there, but you've been to Rockdale Cares. So I just don't understand how you're saying, I want to move forward with this proposal, which I'm a strong supporter of the Economic Development Office, but at the same time saying you're still going to fund the organization in Newton County. My recommendation through email to Ms. Miller and I believe Mr. Pridgeon, that should have been forwarded to you, was to withdraw funding of the 5460 or designate it for a specific mental health program in the community for youth or senior citizens or something specific that the funding would go for. But to continue to fund Viewpoint for 5460 in Newton County while you've had somebody that's been a stellar citizen in this community and works hard for special needs citizens in this area, she has pleaded with you and met with you to ask you, make it fair. And it's not fair right now.
And the same plea went out some time ago as related to the marriage agency that was here, as well as Seek to Fulfill and all those agencies during that time. So what I'm hearing you saying, the 25 people who decide to go down to Kirkland Road, just over the county line, and receive their services, you want to go ahead and cut that $5,400 that's going to them. Now, I don't know
because you made a proposal that we're not going to fund those services for nonprofits. So I'm just assuming you want to stick with what your original intent was.
I certainly do want to stick with what my original intent was.
And so that's what my proposal was, is that we would stick to that.
Call for the question, please. We have a motion on the table, I believe, here. Call for the question. We have a motion on the table. We have a second. Any further discussion? For the resolution to cease funding for the organization, exception of the Conyers Rockdale Economic Development Council. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you. Next item, please.
Number 2 is a resolution for a new account for